Skanda 12, Liberation and Closing. Chapter 43, The Age of Kali, Signs and Sorrows. The 12th skanda opens with a list. It is one of the most remarkable passages in all of ancient literature because it reads not like an ancient text, but like this morning's news. The Bhagavata describes the characteristics of Kali Yuga with a specificity that makes modern readers pause. It says, in this age, wealth will be the sole criterion of virtue. A person with money will be considered wise, righteous, and of good family, regardless of their actual character. Appearance will substitute for quality. A person who looks good will be considered good. Those who speak well will be trusted over those who act well. Those with power will define what is just, rather than justice defining what power can do. It says, family relationships will lose their warmth. Parents and children will become strangers to each other. Husbands and wives will stay together only as long as the arrangement is convenient. Teachers will teach only for money and abandon students who cannot pay. Students will learn only skills that produce income and abandon the wisdom traditions entirely. It says, the earth will grow less fertile, the sky will give less rain, the seasons will become unreliable. Those who govern will be thieves dressed in authority, using their positions to take from the people they are supposed to protect. Cities will be full of people who do not know their neighbors. It says, people in Kali Yuga will suffer from three things primarily: fear, hunger, and want of sleep. Anxiety will be the condition of ordinary life. Those who have read this passage and know when it was written, thousands of years ago, sit for a long time afterward in a particular silence. Not the silence of despair, but the silence of recognition. The Bhagavata saw this coming, and more importantly, the Bhagavata prepared a response to it. The diagnosis was always in service of the medicine. Chapter 44, The Hidden Grace of Kali Yuga. Having described Kali Yuga's sufferings with such precision, the Bhagavata does something unexpected. It calls Kali Yuga a blessing, not despite its difficulties, because of them. The text says, there are certain things that are extraordinarily difficult to accomplish in the more exalted ages, the Satya, Treta, and Dvapara Yugas. In those ages, liberation required enormous tapas, thousands of years of austerity performed in perfect conditions, or the performance of vast and elaborate yajnas, or the complete and flawless practice of yoga systems that demanded decades of physical and mental discipline in favorable circumstances. In Kali Yuga, all of that has been shortened to a single practice, Nama Sankirtan, the chanting and singing and constant repetition of the divine names. The Bhagavata gives an extraordinary promise. It says, what the great sages of the Satya Yuga achieved through thousands of years of meditation, what the great kings of the Treta Yuga achieved through vast sacrifices, what the yogis of the Dvapara Yuga achieved through elaborate ritual worship, all of that in Kali Yuga is available through devoted chanting of the names of Bhagavan. Not because Kali Yuga has lowered the bar, but because the grace has been made more accessible, because the compassion that underlies creation looked at the suffering of beings in this dark age and said, they cannot do what the ancients did. Let the grace meet them where they are. The Bhagavata also says something deeply comforting about our collective future. At the very end of this Kali Yuga, far in the future, there will appear an avatara named Kalki, riding a white horse, who will restore Dharma and begin the next Satya Yuga. The cycle continues. The darkness is real, but it is not final. Between now and then, the prescription is clear: Harinam, the name of Bhagavan. Spoken, chanted, sung, whispered, written, heard. In any form, in any language, in any state of purity or impurity. The name works. It has always worked. It is working now. Chapter 45, The Dissolution of All Worlds. The 12th skanda describes, with the grandeur appropriate to cosmic scale, the four types of dissolution, pralaya, through which creation periodically returns to its source. The first is Naimitika Pralaya, the dissolution that occurs at the end of each day of Brahma, when the three worlds are temporarily submerged in cosmic sleep and recreated at the dawn of Brahma's next day. This happens every 4.32 billion years. During this dissolution, Brahma sleeps on the waters, resting on Shesha, and Narayana holds within himself all the seeds of what will be recreated. The second is Prakritika Pralaya, the great dissolution at the end of Brahma's entire life. At this point, not just the three worlds, but all of material existence, every dimension of the cosmos, every being in every form, dissolves back into the undifferentiated primordial nature, Prakriti. This occurs after 311 trillion human years. The third is Atyantika Pralaya, the personal dissolution that is liberation itself. This is the only dissolution over which you have some influence, the dissolution of the individual ego sense, the ending of the sense of separation from Bhagavan. This is Mukti. This is what every story in the Bhagavata has been pointing toward. The fourth is Nitya Pralaya, the continuous dissolution that occurs every moment. Every moment is dying. Every thought dissolves before the next one arises. Every breath in is followed by the breath out. Every cell in the body is replaced over time. The ancient teachers said, if you can see this, really see it, not as philosophy but as direct perception, the fear of death loses its grip. Because you have been dying every moment, and you have been reborn every moment, and the one who was here at the beginning of this sentence is not quite the same one who is here at its end. The Bhagavata closes its cosmic teaching with the simplest of all statements. Through all dissolutions, through all creations, through all cycles of time, Bhagavan alone remains. Not as a survivor, as the very ground from which creation and dissolution arise and into which they return. He was here before the first word. He will be here after the last. Chapter 46. Parikshit's Liberation. We return now to where we began. 7 days ago, for you who have followed this Saptaha, we sat with Parikshit on the banks of the Ganga and heard his question. We have traveled through all 12 skandhas. We have met Brahma and Shuka and Vyasa and Narada. We have met Dhruva and Prahlada and Gajendra. We have lived through the complete life of Krishna. We have heard the Uddhava Gita. And now the seventh day is ending. Shukdev finishes. He has spoken for 7 days without sleep, without food, sustained entirely by what he was narrating. Parikshit has sat for 7 days without sleep, without food, sustained entirely by what he was hearing. Around them, the assembled sages have fallen into a silence that is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something for which there is no name. Parikshit speaks. I came here 7 days ago afraid. I am not afraid now. Whatever Takshaka may do, it will touch my body. And my body has served its purpose. It has been the vehicle in which I sat and heard the Bhagavatam. What greater purpose could a body serve? He arranges himself in the classical posture, seated, spine straight, facing north, hands in his lap. He closes his eyes. He breathes the name. He lets the form of Krishna, as described by Shuka across 7 days, fill his awareness until there is no Parikshit left, only awareness looking at Bhagavan from within Bhagavan. Takshaka arrives. He comes disguised as a Brahmin in a fruit basket. He bites. The poison spreads. The body that was King Parikshit, grandson of Arjuna, last of the Kuru kings, recipient of the greatest katha in human history, falls. And Parikshit goes. Not down, not into darkness. Into the light he had been listening about for 7 days. The light that was always there. The light Shukadeva had been pointing to with every syllable. He goes to Vaikuntha. The Ganga flows on. The assembled sages sit in silence. And the Bhagavata has done what it came to do. Chapter 47. What the Bhagavata gave the world. There is a question worth pausing to ask. What has this one text done to human civilization? The answer is enormous and still unfolding. The Bhagavata inspired the Bhakti movement, the most powerful spiritual and social revolution in Indian history. Across 12 centuries, from the Tamil Alvars of the 6th century to the Vaishnava saints of medieval North India, poets and sages drew from the Bhagavata the courage to say, the love of Bhagavan is available to everyone, not just Brahmins, not just the learned, not just men, everyone. Everyone. Andal, the Tamil girl saint of the 8th century, wove garlands and sang songs to Vishnu with the ardor of the gopis and attained liberation through pure devotion. Her poems are still sung every morning in South Indian temples. Tukaram in Maharashtra, Mirabai in Rajasthan, Kabir in Varanasi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Bengal, Each was a flame lit from the same fire that Vyasa had first kindled on the banks of the Saraswati. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the 15th century declared that the Bhagavata, specifically the 10th skanda, and within it specifically the Rasa Lila, was the highest expression of spiritual truth available to humanity. He spent his life chanting, dancing, weeping, and teaching the theology of the gopis' love. His tradition gave the world the Hare Krishna movement and brought the Bhagavata into the homes and hearts of people across every continent. The Telugu tradition, your own tradition, produced the magnificent Bhagavatamu of Bamera Potana, considered by many to be the finest literary achievement in the Telugu language. Potana dedicated his translation not to a king or a patron, but to Rama himself. When kings pressured him to dedicate it to them, he refused. What is given to Rama, he said, cannot be given again. The Bhagavata has been and continues to be the living heart of Sanatan Dharma, not as a doctrine to be enforced, but as a beauty to be shared, a river to be entered, a love to be received. Chapter 48. The Eternal River. The Bhagavata Mahatmya ends with an image. Bhakti Devi, the goddess of devotion, who had been old and withered at the beginning of the Mahatmya, now young and radiant, standing by the Ganga, her sons Jnana and Vairagya restored to life beside her. She looks at the assembled sages and says, "Wherever this katha is told, I am present. Wherever the name of Hari is sung, I am present. You cannot take me away from those who love him, and I will not leave them." The Bhagavata has a quality unlike any other scripture. It never ages. The Upanishads are profound, but they require a trained mind to enter. The Bhagavad Gita is perfect, but it was spoken in the extremity of a battlefield, and its urgency requires some translation for ordinary life. The Ramayana is beautiful, but its world is organized around the dharma of an earlier age. The Bhagavata is different. Its stories enter you the way the rain enters the earth, not through argument or instruction, but through the simple permeability of a willing heart. The story of Dhruva enters a child who has been hurt. The story of Gajendra enters anyone who has been trapped. The story of Ajamila enters anyone who has given up on themselves. The Rasa Lila enters anyone who knows what it is to love something more than themselves. The Bhagavata does not require you to be at a particular stage of life or a particular level of spiritual attainment. It receives you where you are, and where it leaves you, if you have traveled through it with sincerity, is not the same place where it found you. Shaunaka asked Suta at the beginning, "Of all things to be heard, what is the best thing to hear?" Suta said, "The stories of Uttama Shloka, of Bhagavan whose glories are celebrated in the highest poetry. Because these stories enter the ear and go straight to the heart, and in the heart they quietly dissolve whatever is most knotted. You have heard these stories. Something has entered. Trust the entering." Chapter 49. Begin again. Day 1 of the rest of your life. You have reached the end, and you have reached the beginning. This is the nature of the Bhagavata. It is a circle. Parikshit's question at the beginning, "What is the highest duty of a person in the face of death?" is your question too. Not only when you are dying, right now. Every moment of this life is a moment of facing the reality that this is temporary, that the props will be removed, that only what is truly yours can be kept. The Bhagavata answered that question across 12 skandhas and 49 chapters. And the answer, distilled to its essence, is this: hear, remember, love. Hear the stories of Bhagavan, let them into you. Let Dhruva's determination enter you. Let Prahlada's courage enter you. Let Gajendra's cry enter you so completely that when you face your own impossible moment, that same cry arises naturally. Let the gopis' love enter you so deeply that something in you knows how to love completely, without calculation, without the insurance of a guaranteed return. Remember, in the middle of the day, in the midst of work and children and worry and ambition, remember, not elaborately, just a breath, just the name, just a moment of acknowledgement that under all of this, something vast and loving and absolutely present is already here. Love. Find the particular form of Bhagavan that your heart naturally gravitates toward, whether it is the infant Krishna in Yashoda's arms, or the warrior Narasimha, or the cosmic Vishnu on Shesha, or the flute-playing Govardhana lifter, and let yourself love that form, completely, without embarrassment, without the self consciousness that this age specializes in. Just love. And then begin again from chapter 1. The sages of Naimisharanya will be there. Shukadeva will be arriving at the Ganga. The question will be asked, and the Bhagavata, faithful as a river, will answer. Hari Om. Tat Sat. May Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the life of the Bhagavata and the life of all lives, be with you always.